Whenever the opening ceremony for the Olympics rolls around, people end up asking the same thing. Why does this feel religious? 2 years ago, there was some legitimate concern about a scene that seemed to be imitating the Last Supper. And this year, people are asking if the opening ceremony is mocking a Catholic monstrance. But I kind of wonder if we're asking the wrong question. Because it seems that the central issue here might not be mockery. It's that when a culture loses religion, the biggest ceremonies start to look like worship. And once you see why that happens, the whole Olympics thing makes a lot more sense. Hey guys, I'm Father David Michael. I'm a Catholic priest here at Christ Our Light in St. Stanislaus in Texas. Please come visit if you're ever in the area, and feel free to subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos. Now, I'm careful judging anyone's intention, but as Christians, it's good to speak up and demand a certain level of respect for things that we hold sacred. For us as Catholics, the Eucharist is the very body and blood of Jesus, so it's the most sacred thing we have. So what happened 2 years ago seemed to be offensive, showing a scene of people at the Last Supper, mimicking Jesus and the apostles. This rightly got a lot of attention. Now, I'm eager to defend the Eucharist however and whenever I need to, but what happened this year at the opening ceremonies seems to be a bit more ambiguous. The center of this video clip here does seem to resemble a luna, which is a small glass container in which we put the Eucharist, and then we place that in a gold monstrance so that Jesus can be adored and rightly worshiped. But resemblance isn't the same thing as mockery. So honestly, until it's more clear from the designer expressing their intent about what's going on, I'm gonna be careful judging here. But instead of freezing the video on symbols and debating them frame by frame, I kind of want to zoom out here because I think the bigger issue isn't just what they showed, it's why we do these ceremonies at all. Think about it. Why don't they just start the Olympic Games? Why not say, welcome athletes, first event begins now? Why the music and the lights and the choreography and the symbolism and the storytelling? Because as human beings, we need ritual. We want ritual. Ritual tells us the moment matters. This is not ordinary. Pay attention. That's why weddings have ceremonies. It's a big moment in someone's life. That's why graduations have ceremonies. That's why funerals have ceremonies. And yes, that's why the Olympics have a ceremony too. Ritual lifts something out of the everyday and says, this is worth stopping for. This is different. That's why we're asking all these questions about religious connections to the ceremony, because they're starting to feel kind of religious, even if they insist that they're not. Processions, symbolic objects, music swelling at the right moment, a story about humanity and unity, hope and transcendence, that's not random. That's almost a liturgical structure because human beings are liturgical creatures. This isn't new. Empires had ceremonies, kings had coronations, nations create pageantry. Why? Because ritual answers a question that every culture has to answer. What are we living for? What is important to us? Opening ceremonies don't just celebrate sports, they tell us something about who we are, about progress and unity, and about what saves us. It almost becomes a pseudo-theological territory. No wonder we wonder, is this mocking religion? Because it looks pretty religious. We just had the Super Bowl, which is absolutely a ritual. It's a sacred day set aside in our country where we have special food. We're filled with anticipation. There's all these important figures that gather in a stadium. There's an introduction of players and we sing the national anthem. Now, I'm not anti-sports. I love sports. But I think we need to be aware when God is removed from the center of the culture, worship doesn't disappear. It just gets redirected. People go looking for ritual somewhere. We may deny we were designed for God, but we will find worship of something somehow. Achievement, human potential, the body, the nation, progress, the self. The ceremonies start to feel like worship because they are. They're just worship without God. This is why nothing compares to the Mass. The Mass isn't about a human achievement. It's not celebrating progress. It's not glorifying human excellence. It's heaven touching earth. It's God being made present in a real way, giving himself to us. That's the highest ritual. And when that's no longer recognized as the highest ritual, other things rush in to fill the space. Something I thought about recently was why so many love songs nowadays are using church and religious language. A few years ago, there was a song called Take Me to Church, but it wasn't about church. It was about a woman. There's a popular song out now that talks about a sanctuary and how the person's loved one is holy. All religious language, but used to describe earthly things. Because when humans experience awe and devotion, we instinctively reach for religious language, even when we don't believe in religion anymore, because the heart hasn't changed, even when the culture has. So, was this year's Olympic ceremony mocking and monstrance? I don't know. But the fact that it felt religious to so many people should make us pause. It should make us reflect, because the real question isn't about them, it might be about us. What's the highest ritual in my life? What gives me a sense of awe? Where do I find the most beauty? Because whatever that is, that's what we worship. And as a culture, we need to reclaim where matters most. Hope you guys found that helpful. We'll see you next time. God bless.